Are you running on fumes?
Nate, are you asking me if I'm running on fumes?
Kind of. Asking everybody in general. I know I'm feeling pretty groovy today. Got some little dance moves going on for our good tunes. But yeah, are you running on fumes, Steve?
Sometimes I run on fumes.
Mm-hmm. You've been soldiering through some illness, doing a great job. But that definitely drains you, doesn't it?
Yeah, we had an interesting conversation about this whole idea of journeys and goals and destinations and fuel.
Well, there's, some other questions that might make it hit home a little bit for people, just kind of in the context of, especially with your athletes and performers, your teens. Do you celebrate success? Because I know.
Yeah, usually at the end.
But what if we're doing that wrong? What if that's not the best way to approach the journey? Because we often save that celebration until we get to the end. And you can make a good logical argument for doing that. Okay.
So are we going to hand out treats every 5 minutes?
Well, I know when I run, one of the things I've learned from running, doing the distance running that you so wonderfully got me into, thank you, by the way, as you're running those long distances, if you don't refuel, you're going to bonk, you're going to hit the wall, and you don't have enough energy to finish your journey out. So there's a powerful metaphor about that. Do you refuel during your journey? Do we help our teens who are working really hard in their sports and in their performances? Do we help them refuel?
So are you suggesting that we might be making a mistake?
Well, I think
it's waiting to do this fueling. We fuel up at the beginning, but then we don't throughout, and we wait till the end, and there's a risk of running out of gas, risk of getting discouraged, slowing down,
hitting that wall. In those seasons, like seasons are long times. I've been in plays too. I don't know if I've ever confessed that to everybody here, but I've been in just as many plays as I've been on sports teams. And when you're going through the show, you go through this long rehearsal process where it's months of rehearsing and practicing and training, and it gets draining. Like it wears you out, just like seasons do. You know this as a basketball coach and football player and all the things that you've done. They wear you out. When we don't refuel when we're worn out, we get burnt out, and that's a problem. That's a big problem that we have. Part of our conversation, we talked about, we have a mutual friend who's actually a really cool human being. She has this magical quality of, showing up at the right time, saying the right thing, doing the right thing. She's been described as part street urchin and part Mary Poppins. But she wrote a great book about this topic.
What a great description of her.
Isn't that? She's wonderful. It is. Wonderful human being. Yeah. Tell us about her.
Oh, yeah. This woman is a wonderful person and just full of energy, love for everyone.
Life, everything.
I know her as Sherry. Yep. She is Sherry Belul. And I got this gem here called Say It Now, 33 Creative Ways to Say I Love You to the most important people in your life. So,
and your teen athletes and performers.
This is like this. You will find this in the warm and fuzzy section. And I say that with all due respect to Sherry. It is, it's dynamite. And Mr. Crandall, how I love practical stuff.
Yes.
This is practical with a capital P. And I found something in here that I think is just perfect for parents and teens in addressing this whole idea of running out of gas.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to share number 24 of the 33. And it simply is titled, Celebrate a Halfway Point. This one really caught my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to read the first two paragraphs. We live in a culture that seems to want to run us right past any accomplishments and on to the next thing. Go, go, go. If we don't stop to acknowledge ourselves and whatever goal or milestone we've just reached, we simply keep running and are likely to get burned out, stressed out, and bummed out. I
Yeah.
think she nails it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we do. We run right past the celebration. And as we run past the opportunity to celebrate success, we end up burned out, bummed out, and stressed out.
And sometimes I don't think we give ourselves permission to celebrate along the way,
Okay.
because we're looking at that destination. We're looking at that endpoint. We're looking at that opening night of the play. We're looking at that end of the season, hopefully getting to playoffs and postseason. Even a simple thing of, as well, you could think academically too. We think of the end of the quarter when you get the final grade. But up until that point, we can definitely get bummed out, stressed out, burned out.
When you talked about the grade, my mind went back to when I was a kid, and I never once had a midterm celebration. Now, I didn't necessarily, create a cause for celebration, but I never had a midterm celebration. Every midterm was always something to look forward to with dread, because it was like, okay, here's all the things you're doing wrong, and then you got to soldier through to the end.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's exactly what Sherry's describing there: stressed out, burned out, bummed out, all of the above.
So she calls it a half gift, which
I'm going to cut a $50 bill in half and give you that gift.
hey, you could actually do that. I mean, if you can you still tape paper money together? I mean, I used to do that
Probably.
all the time. You'd get a dollar bill or 5 torn in half or whatever. You just get some scotch tape and
Take it into the bank and get a new one.
yeah. But so this idea of a half gift, and I want to get practical here.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about how you can really infuse some energy, some enthusiasm into another person. I like making this a team thing. You could do it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you do? Cut up half a Hershey bar at midterm and eat half of it. And then, when you get to the final grade, you do it. But she suggests creating some type of and I even think I know she loves the element of surprise. Although when you're around her, it's hard to not be surprised because something good is coming from her. But if you cut this gift in half, or you do something during the first part that can infuse some enthusiasm into the person,
Mm-hmm.
then they're more likely to enjoy that second half. And then at the end, there's obviously the ending celebration.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this?
What was the best half
for parents to teens?
For parents to teens?
Like, what would be some ways that you could do this without pampering too much, but I don't know if she might disagree with me on that. She might think that
I don't
you
know if a
can't do
half
too much
gift has to be
pampering.
material. I think especially if your teens on the journey, if they're halfway through a basketball season, a lacrosse season, a volleyball season, just taking them out to dinner on one night. You get a free night somewhere around that half point. Take them out to dinner and just totally focus on, what are you proud of from the first half of the season? Where have you grown the most? What was your most confident moment from that first half of the season? Again, going back to our core idea of stop parenting and start coaching, slide into that role of being their coach and help them focus on the success they had, the growth that they've experienced in the first half. And you can even shift it to, great, where do you want to grow next? What are you looking forward to the most? Because it's a point to pause, celebrate what we've done, and now redirect our focus to the good things we're going to do, where we want to put our energy, where we want to put our focus, and how we want to generate a great second half of the season. So I would say, even more than a physical gift, it's probably just the gift of spending some time with them. And in that time, as a parent and child, celebrating the growth that you've seen. You tell them as part of that conversation, I've seen you grow like this, this, and this. I'm most proud of you for doing this and this.
I really like this because it is quite common and typical in my experience that individually as a player and collectively as a team, we often don't meet some of our lofty expectations. You begin the season all fired up. And I remember it. I remember once being an assistant coach when we were 10-3 and ranked in the top 5 in the state. And we had some people all over us because in their eyes, and quite honestly, in our eyes, we felt like we could have, maybe should have been 13-0. So we were 10-3, one of the best teams in the state, having a terrific season. And that team went to the state championship, by the way. Yet we had people, there was no half point celebration because we should have been doing well. We were beyond half point at that juncture, but we should have been doing better. I don't think that helps refuel anybody. I don't think that just adds stress, and the
stressed
not the
out,
good
bummed
stress.
out, burned out.
Yes. So looking at what you have done well to that point, looking at the growth, and also reminding yourself of how excited you were at the beginning of the season. So you're talking about dinner. You take your daughter out to dinner, you take your son out to dinner, and you're talking about their growth and looking how far they come. I think it's also a great time to celebrate why they are even playing in this sport. Why are they even in this play? Why are they in this performance group? Why did you choose marching band? Well, at some point there was all this excitement. I think the half point gift gets them back to that. I think that's what Sherry's getting at here.
I think that's great. Do you know what would make me celebrate? If our amazing listeners would hop on YouTube and subscribe to the Stop Parenting, Start Coaching podcast. I think that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Thanks, listeners. You guys are the best.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of practical ways to apply this to a season, to an academic quarter. It could even be to some type of project. Maybe there's something around the house or that they need to do, and you create some type of half point gift. And I love the idea that you said this doesn't have to be a material thing.
It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be something you purchase. It can be if there's a meaningful gift that you can give.
Right. In fact, I really believe, and I think Sherry would probably agree, that the thought behind this, the preparation that you do for something that's really thoughtful, and we've talked about handwritten notes. We've talked about,
gratitude.
Sending the text.
We've had episodes on gratitude.
Yeah. Anything like that is going to be meaningful. I know it'd be meaningful to me. It would be unexpected, which fits right in with Sherry. That's why
Mary Poppins.
That's why it's in her book.
You know what we haven't done for a while? A creation corner.
Creation corner.
What can we challenge our parents to create with their teen athletes and performers that would help them implement this idea, or like you say, put it practical?
Okay.
What could they create? Hey,
brought the bell back.
I love the bell.
What could they create? See, I'm already doing it myself as a parent. Because I've done some celebratory things, but now I'm thinking, what could be a half point? I have one of my 2 daughters right now is in a professional experience where she's elevating herself in her profession, and she's going through some training, education, and practical on the job experience. I don't know what it is, but I know that I'm going to do a half point gift. You got anything? Do you have anything in your?
I mean, my daughter's in her first semester of college, so when she gets to midterm, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do there. What I'd love to challenge the parents to is get intentional about this and almost try to make this like a ritual. In your family, you celebrate things when they get partway through. And I think if you do it consistently, it could actually lead to something really fun where your kids start to catch on to this idea that, halfway through, and it would probably give them some energy in whatever they're working on.
I think, Nate, that you would find in the end, you would have more finished projects. There would be more finishing, and there would be more joy on the journey.
On behalf of Steve Galley, I'm Nate Crandall, and we thank you, our loyal listeners, for tuning in to this episode. If you love what you're learning from the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast, we would appreciate it very much if you would leave us a 5-star review and some glowing comments. We also encourage you to share this episode with your friends and family who are parents of athletes and performers. And if you want to explore further and see what Steve and I are creating to help thousands of parents, athletes, and performers, please visit our company's website at createtransformbecome.com. That's createtransformbecome, all one word, .com. There you'll find a growing number of resources to help you elevate your performance. Thank you again for your support, and we encourage you to create a magical relationship with your athlete and performer.